Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Enolia, and I'm here with a very, very special guest named Lisa Ladner. And we're here not only to have Lisa share her story, but this is also an appeal. So I'm going to ask you, not only do we want you to listen to this, but please listen to this story and this conversation in its entirety. And if you feel compelled, and if your heart says the right thing, we would hope that you would do the right thing. So Lisa, welcome to this show. And I'd like you to just introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, Enolia, thank you for having me. Thank you to the audience for listening. I'm not here on my behalf, but I'm nevertheless going to introduce myself, Lisa Ladner. I'm 53 years old. I'm Swiss and Puerto Rican, born and raised in Switzerland, now living in Puerto Rico. I've been working in communications, in arts, and now I have other roles and positions that are also not important for that case. But the whole story, it started actually me being a cultural, entrepreneur or curator for arts. That's where I got in contact with Ruth and with Joseph, two people that belong to the Deep East Africa group. And they sent me artworks from artists from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania to Switzerland. I sold and exhibited them there in Switzerland and then also in Puerto Rico. We became sort of distant friends and kept in touch after that exchange of works. And then Ruth died of AIDS, leaving behind 4 children. And Joseph took it upon him to look after those 4 children, in addition to his own 2 children. That's many years ago, and there's a long story to tell, but we will make it short, I guess.
No. I don't really want you to make it short, but so here he is, he's with 6 children, and that is a lot to handle. So can you share with us where the story goes from there?
So Joseph contacted me, after Ruth's departure and told me about the situation and, that he needed prayer and support, but he didn't really ask for money or anything. He just shared the story. But then again, he reached out when the pandemic started and things got out of hand. There was a mixture from the beginning of the pandemic, drought, all kinds of problems that come with agriculture. And then also the 2 younger children, his youngest daughter and the youngest daughter of Ruth, were behind his back brought to the border of Uganda where they mutilated their genitals. And that devastated him. I mean, when he got the note of that his own mother had sort of took those 2 younger children to the border of Uganda to have that old tradition procedure done on those 2 kids in order to marry them off and get rid of them in the household in order to have 2 less to feed during the pandemic, that broke his heart. That's where he reached out sobbing, asking for help to pay hospital bills.
And I want to pause you there because some people don't know what the female genital mutilation is. And they just outlawed this in Kenya. It is now outlawed.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was already outlawed. It was made behind the back. And, here I am in Puerto Rico hearing that story from Kenya. And I'm like, wait a minute. I read that it's illegal in Kenya. Looked it up. I always double check. I'm a journalist by profession originally. Double check. And here it is, the news that during the pandemic, those cases started to rise again.
Wow.
So it's within the hidden, the hiding of the pandemic that those very, very brutal, activities started again. And the 2 victims in that case were Sarah of Ruth Sarah and Joseph's Clarion. Today they're aged 14 and 12. And of course, this is something that will leave scars on their body and on their souls.
Yeah. So please keep sharing with us.
So there I was wondering, what are you doing in rural Kenya? He used to be in Nairobi. And he said, you know, during the pandemic, the businesses closed, the work, he couldn't work as a business consultant. He had, you know, he was a businessman with a lot of different activities. But when the pandemic started, he took the kids, all the kids, to rural Kenya, to his parents. They had a little lot of land. There they had the problems of the droughts and what's that called? The animals, the insects that eat all the corn, flying
Yes, the
grasshoppers,
locusts.
sort of the
The
locust
yeah.
plague. So there we discussed how can I help him to help himself, and he had the plan of leasing a farm and growing, you know, maize, corn, and beans. And he presented me a business plan and everything, and I helped him to get that business started somewhere else where there were less plagues and more water. And from there, you know, I felt like my help is not doing any good, because there he was assaulted, they robbed, they stole money. You know, he had a lot of, really a lot of fallbacks, worker not showing up. Then he switched to female workers, they showed up, and then, you know, the assault. And then he got involved into a traffic accident. He had like 5 motorcycles speeding his way, and he was trying to evade to, you know, drive into them because they were invading both lanes. Trying to evade, he did impact, I think, 2 of the 5 drivers, and then the other drivers dragged him out of the car and knocked him unconscious, almost killed him there. He was put in front of the court, and you know, we were in contact all the time. We were in contact when he got assaulted. We were in contact when he got to trial, pulled him through trial. But yeah, every step of the road, it's a setback. Every step of the road, it feels like the enemy is, you know, going against him. Somehow he made it through, not as good as we hoped, not as good as he hoped either. So, you know, at some time you don't have a car, so you don't have money, and you have the field where people are stealing, and it's like an accumulation of all the problems. And you know, while all that went on, and his agricultural business unfortunately didn't thrive as he hoped, even though the harvest was good and the sales were good. So in part he was able to do what he wanted to, but with all those setbacks, you know, there was school money, there's insurance money, there's the car. So in order for him to feed 6 children, 4 of them of the late route, it just became harder and harder.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got, you know, I tried everything. I tried to sell the last of the artworks that I still had here in Puerto Rico, even though I bought the whole batch and then gave him whatever I could. I asked friends and family members, and some of them chipped in more and less generous, some for school, some for, you know, bills. So I'm very grateful for everybody who helped so far. But, you know, like there's Sharon now, the one that made me contact you. Sharon is the oldest kid of Ruth. She's 22. She's 1 year or not even a year away from finishing her bachelor in commerce. That's at the Cooperative University in Nairobi. And she would like to become an auditor or a banker, and she would like to be able to support her siblings, you know. And in order to finance her studies, because Joseph has, you know, sort of her foster dad has had surgery, they had his kidney removed, he's still recuperating, so he cannot be working in the fields at all right now. So they're all looking for a job, they're all looking to make income. And Sharon applied for a job, and they invited her for an interview. And when she got there, which cost her also money to get there, she was violated. So, you know, there you have a young girl of 22, eager to make money in order to push herself through the studies. And then what she gets at the end of the day is, you know, being raped or assaulted, let's say sexually assaulted, ending up again in hospital, you know, and desperate. Just to have a picture, I have never been to Kenya, and I have decided not to go there until I cannot help that family, because that's money spent in traveling and safari, which is
Right.
fine and good, but I prefer spending that money, on the family directly. But, I point out in Google Maps, where is it that they live? Where is it that they go to school? And for that family of 6 kids and himself, if you want to visit one and the other, you have to be driving about 10 hours cross country to all the different schools and universities and farms and places just to hold that together. Everybody is right now, he explained me in detail where everybody is. Everybody's right now to close or far away relatives, cousins, friends, whatever, trying to take care of the kids while they go to school in the different municipalities where they have ended up living now. So none of the siblings live close by each other. There's little support, moral support that they can give to each other. Everybody's struggling to get, through schools. So far, they have made it. So there's Sharon, hoping to become a banker. There's Sydney, 20, turning on 21, who's studying IT. There's Rebecca, she just finished high school and hopes to get into college. There's Sarah, she's in secondary school. And then there's Joseph's 2 kids, Arroyo. He has just, he's in the 4th year of high school, and his small daughter, Clarin, 12 years old, in Tala Township Primary School in the 5th class. So that is a handful. I only have 1 kid, and it's a handful, and he has 6, 2 he fathered and 4 he looks after.
So here it is, a person who's taken on 4 children that aren't even his, as a good human being should, in the circumstances of the fact that their only parent died. And so, that could be any of us. That could be any of us. And I think about my 2 boys and the fact that, thank God, and I don't know how we did it to be able to get them through university. I know that when my mother was going through with 8 children, the first child that graduated turned around, worked, and helped the other siblings get through school so that all could get educated. And sometimes we have to realize that we can't do this on our own. It takes a village. It takes a community to raise a family.
Yep.
So how much money is needed to assist this family to the point where at least 1 child or 2 children could get through school?
That is a good question. I have not totally figured it out, because it seems that nothing is predictable. Mm-hmm. Like a school could be, he took his kids from, better private schools to public schools in order to have more money to support the other children. But even the public schools are not free, as they say. They ask for money for the uniform. They ask for the money for food. They ask for money for everything, just for books. So there's no free nothing. There's also like the healthcare that is supposedly, government supported or free or cheap. It doesn't really help in the end when you need the medications or you need some special treatments. So it's very hard, he throws numbers. I double check them with friends in Kenya just to see that I trust Joseph. I can't do it without trusting him. So that is a decision I took, that I trust him. At the same time, I always double check, prices, news, things, just to be sure. I also play the ball back to him and say, but can't you take this insurance, healthcare, or can't you go to that school? And he gives me arguments, why it looks good on paper, but doesn't work in real life in Kenya. And it's been a learning curve. Things that we take for granted being in Switzerland or being in Puerto Rico, we take for granted that this is how it is and you can calculate it and you know what it costs. I'm surprised how expensive everything is, especially in relationship to the income that people can generate in Kenya. If they have, he has a grade in business administration. He's not a farmer, but he makes more money in farming now, or used to, before everything broke loose again. So it's very hard to say exactly what they will be needing. There's healthcare, there's housing, there's food, there's education. And it is, as you say, the oldest are trying to do their best, and they're really good in school and the university because they know and they want to, they know that they need to stand on their feet as soon as possible, and they want to financially support their siblings and the rest of the patchwork family. So, some of the boys, he told me he doesn't even know how they got some chicken and they're now dealing with eggs. So everybody's trying to, and they're very strict. Nobody can just take an egg from a chicken without asking their permission. So, they're trying to be street smart. They're trying to do good stuff. But it seems like the village has become difficult, the one that used to raise the kids, because when he went back to the village during the pandemic, that's where he was let down by his own mom, who took the two girls to the border and had the two girls mutilated. So that's where he left that village and tried somewhere else. And then he just said, the drought is so hard all over Kenya right now that you literally flee from one village to the next in order to find work or in order to grow something. So then came the elections, for example, and during the elections, the school closed, the hospitals closed. So there has always been a massive stress to get all the kids, into a safe space wherever they could in order to, not being involved in street violence during the elections. So yeah, with all those unforeseen events that take care, sicknesses, diseases, uproars, changes of schools, universities, it's hard. I can't put a number. I mean, I have a lot of numbers on my computer about, what has been spent and what cost what. And, there was an health insurance now for $700, more or less, that he thinks he can cover a year for everybody. Let's see, I hope. He hopes to go back to farming, but definitely in order to start again, he'll need money for the seeds, he'll need money for the fertilizers, he'll need money for the workers, and I'm not even sure if that is a safe path to go again.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's easier to just sort of, concentrate on Sharon's need to finish her Bachelor in Commerce and find a job, or even find her a job, or support her in finding a job so she can take care of herself. Same for Sydney, who will be turning 21. They're young adults. Rebecca, she's in a very difficult, she's not that excellent student because at the age of 18 with her mom gone, what is it now, 6 years or more? So I guess she's been through a lot of, struggle, and they're trying to get her into college now. And then the youngest one, Sarah, also, she's doing well in secondary school, but she's nowhere where she can provide. Nowhere to provide. The common way or the unfortunately very common way how people provide is by selling their body. All of the girls have been approached sort of by people who want sex for money.
Right.
And Joseph is trying to keep that, from happening.
Right.
So, but how do you do it? Spreading out all over Kenya, staying with all different people.
And trying to be able to.
There's no money on the bank.
Right. And so I have had the opportunity to visit Kenya. By no means are the rural areas easy to work within, and the villages are very small. They know everyone. Traditions are very, very much alive, and the guiding rule for how people conduct themselves every step of the way, all the way down to even how they cook, whose role it is, and everything. Hospitals, the situations are real. Because here I am living in Angola, so I'm living in Africa, and no, it's not even comparable to a Western society. You go in and you have to pay for the supplies that are actually provided to you while you're sick. You have to pay for the medicine that's provided to you while you're sick. And sometimes you have to pay for the doctor to just even see you. You just don't, Western medicine, we walk in and we're seen. And then we decide whether we want to go further. Well, no, you have to pay before you're seen.
Yes.
and even diagnosed, let alone taken into consideration. If you don't have money, you get nowhere in the systems.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that these systems are still like this today, but they are. School fees, you're absolutely right. Not only do you have to pay for the fee to go to school, then you have to pay for the books, then you have to pay for the uniform, because they don't allow you in without being dressed a certain way like all of the other children. Okay. And then those reoccurring fees come up every periodic time for where they conduct, like we call them semesters, but theirs are much, 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 much shorter. It's like a
Yes.
monthly school fee. So
Yeah.
I just want people to get an understanding, in a sense, that we're not comparing this to a first world country, okay? And I don't even want to call it a first world country, a Western country, where the systems are all in place, have been going for a long, 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 long time. To get educated is such a blessing, and girls are just being accepted to be educated, in this time and place. That wasn't always the case. The women weren't educated. They played the traditional role of just staying home cooking, and that was the initiation, and that was their life. So we want to give these children a chance. We need to give these children a chance. So I am the CEO of Expressions of Humanity this moment until at least December 1st, and we'll decide if we can go beyond December 1st. We are going to do a drive. We're doing a fundraising drive. If you donate to Expressions of Humanity at this time, all funds will go directly to support this family. All funds, anything, $1, $5, $10, please, we're asking you, donate something for these children to go to school and to live a decent life. It is appalling that someone who's trying to contribute and uplift their family going to a job interview gets assaulted, sexually assaulted, trying to help her family. We need to give these kids a chance. And the only way we can do this is if we as a community pull together to give these children an opportunity. So I'm appealing to you. I'm asking you, Lisa, thank you for coming to me with your story. I really appreciate it, because, I wanted to understand what best I could do. And to me, the story says it all. The story says it all. And I know that there are people who have had hard stories throughout their whole lives, but these are children without their parents. They're trying to continue their lineage. Let's help them. Let's help them. Expressions of Humanity Foundation can be found on the internet at www.expresshumanity.org. You can make an impact on someone's life. Again, today's date is November 16th, where we're actually recording this, till December 1st, midnight. We will be collecting for this family. So we asked Joseph to please hold on. We're asking our constituents out there, please, from your heart, give something, even if it's $1. And Lisa, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to be here, be on the show, because when you reached out to me, I heard the story, and yes, I could do something on my own, but I think it's more important that we get the story out here and let people know, that here's a chance and an opportunity to directly impact someone's life with what they give. Lisa, is there anything else that you want to share?
Well, thank you, Enolia. Thank you to everybody who hears the cry and donates. I'll make sure personally that the money gets to those who need it, Joseph's kids and Ruth's kids. Make sure that the priorities are always clear, and that that I get all the information always relevant of where the money goes. Yes, this is just I think a very important, as you say, to know the story and not just some facts. If we can feel the stress and the distress that family feels, I think it's easier to help. And every time I help, I've been helping for years now. I've been helping with substantial funds. But every time I said, as you said earlier, it could be any of us, being in need. And I think we're just, we are the extension of that family, and we should take care. Thank you very much.
I again compel everyone to do it, and Expressions of Humanity will make the first donation towards this. And we pray that you will give from your hearts. So Lisa, thank you so much for having the courage to come on and to advocate for a family who needs it, who needs their story told. So thank you again. And again, that's expresshumanity.org, and the information will be right down in the descriptor here on StreamYard and also on YouTube, where you can see this video and repeat it. And again, send this message out to others that may be able to help. Okay, so from midnight, December 1st, from now until midnight, December 1st, 2022. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.